Hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by backers.
Right?
No judging.
Yeah.
No judging.
And the millennials are really changing that.
Is charm. No.
All success begins with desire.
I feel like I'm on fire right now.
Hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by backers. I am joined here by Jessica Moran. Jessica, thank you very much for joining me on the show today.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
It looks pretty beautiful where you are. I know I'm not to throw you. I know you just tried several different views because the lighting and stuff, but it looks really good. Where are you actually?
I'm actually located in Brantford, Ontario, which is the home of Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky, Brantford. Yeah. There you go.
And in good traffic.
It's about an hour?
A little less actually. But yeah, about an hour outside west of the city, west of Toronto.
West of Toronto. Yeah, hour and a half, give or take. I guess, like you said, traffic. That QEW can be, it could probably take you 4 hours on a bad day. So, awesome. So, home of Wayne Gretzky. We use a quote often with backers talking about who is the greatest hockey player to ever live, and the answer is often Wayne Gretzky. But the real answer is no one really knows because they probably never played hockey. And that's the whole idea of opportunity, because they're literally, they probably, you have to live in a cold country. You have to live, have money to afford the equipment and the ice and all those different things. Whereas a large majority of the world population has never put on skates kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? So that's,
absolutely.
Yeah, we talk about, opportunity for all, and sort of, the greatest business probably never was, because the person never got the opportunity to start it, right? So
absolutely
interesting. So I'll do a quick little bio on you. You send over a little bio. So you are a marketing and communications expert with 19 plus years of industry experience across a broad range of communications roles in the nonprofit, corporate, government, agency, and startup sectors. And you are now the founder and principal of Jesco, which is a public relations and digital marketing firm. So jessmco.com. So Jessica, welcome to the show. 19, are we on 20 years yet? Can we say, when is
we can say 20. I did just have a big milestone birthday this past year, which will bring me to that 20 years. Yeah, so we can update it to say 20.
Update to 20 years. I was going to say 19 plus. When do we cross that border, right? Yeah. Cool. So, well, congratulations. What is the milestone? Are we allowed to ask?
40.
Oh, wow. There you go. Awesome. Well, congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
There you go. You don't look a day over 29.
Thank you.
There you go. I'm 42, so I'm right in around there.
Nice.
Same age range. Cool. So, welcome to the show. Tell us, I love doing this choose your own adventure. So, we're going to start with choose your own adventure. Marketing or everything else in your life?
Let's go with everything else in my life.
So tell us about everything else in your life. What does Jessica do outside of marketing?
Sure. So actually, a lot of this I get to foray into my working world because I think it gives me a really unique lens, which helps me to be successful. So I am a mom of 2 kids.
Okay.
They're tweens. One is 10, one is 12, son and a daughter. My daughter, which I'm very vocal about, is on the autism spectrum.
Okay.
And so in my kind of spare time, or in my time, I'm very big on
not so much spare time, all time now, right?
It all melds together nicely. Right. But I'm really, really big on autism advocacy and also neurodiversity. And bringing that type of a lens to anything that we're doing and making sure that we showcase, there's so many wonderful humans out there that are neurodiverse, and making sure that we're really inclusive. We do that at Jesco, and then we also do that, just simply with our client base and able to do that. And just the ability to really be driven to try to get everything done in one day. I mean, when you're a working parent, you've got, the hockey, you've got the
home of Gretzky, of course they play hockey, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
You've got the trying to make them healthy meals.
Right.
You've got that. And in addition to, again, having your own company and things of that nature. So for me, it's been, and I've used it as a bit of an asset in the sense that you have so many hours in the day and you've just got to be super, super efficient. So I'm always about, trying to optimize my time and even bringing to our agency, different ways that we can be more efficient and things like that. So just really don't have the time to waste.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I like a point that you made there. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but so do you try to integrate your sort of the neurodiverse kind of mindset, and is your daughter or son, what is autism you said?
It's my daughter. And so
okay.
she's she would have or she would be kind of labeled as what they used to call as Asperger's, which is more I'd say on the high functioning side, very intelligent. She's verbal, but then there's a whole other gamut of issues that come along with that autism umbrella. So she's got ADHD. She suffers from really bad depression and anxiety. So it's given me a very interesting lens into that journey and understanding mental health. And in fact, it's really helped me because we have a lot of health and wellness clients, and we've sought out some alternative therapies for her, and which brought me into working in the cannabis industry, which is a lot of our clientele as well.
Okay.
So, it's interesting, like people always talk about work-life balance. I actually don't look at it that way. I think it's absolutely impossible to strike a balance. I've gone overboard at work before and done the stay-at-home nanny and the whole thing, and really felt yucky as a human and had to dial it back. And then I stayed at home with the kids for a little bit when we had some expat assignments with my husband's work, and that was too much at home. So I really just have arrived at a point over the last few years where I've just kind of embraced it all and embrace the chaos, and things just dovetail into one another.
Right.
I think a nice thing that's come along with COVID, I've worked remotely for quite a while, but with COVID, I think there is a newfound acceptance of that, of people have had to just cope with having kids in the household and things of that nature.
There is no choice. My kid, I have two boys, 7 and 4, so a little bit younger, but yeah, like they're at school right now, which has kind of been good over the past month or so. But for 6 months there, they would have been right next to me in the room, bouncing off the walls here. So, which is good. I mean, it's melted everything together. So I think you answered the question that yes, you've sort of been able to integrate, your obviously your family into life, and now that's become sort of the norm with everyone, right? So that's
and even just I think having that on my radar to ensure that when I'm hiring at Jesco that we're being very conscious of, there is a lot of folks out there that have that are neurodiverse in some capacity, and making sure that we're fostering an inclusive kind of workplace. And then also really just having more of an understanding of it when you're dealing with people and clients. Has been really eye-opening as well, where there's perhaps maybe coming from more of a place of patience, because there could be people who maybe haven't been diagnosed yet, or might be a little bit, operate a little bit differently, or their brains operate a little bit differently, and being able to be patient with that, embrace it, and really try to steer people towards what their strengths are.
Right. No, I agree. So I had no intention of going this way, but I think this is a cool direction. You mentioned it, like diversity in sort of the work environment. We've looked at a couple of grants just from, we're hiring, developers and different things. I know there's disabilities type grants to foster or like encourage organizations. Like, what are some of the things that you've seen out there, ways that maybe organizations, I don't know if you've kind of delved this way, or maybe we can go in a whole new, thought process for both of us, but what are some of the opportunities that are available for organizations to hire people with diverse physical and mental limitations? I guess I was going to say disabilities.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I think there's definitely grants available out there. I think it also depends on the kind of business that you do and how you're structured. So there's absolutely grants available that you can tap into, and you can go on to the government sites. It's pretty easy to determine in a Google search, depending on what you need. And then above and beyond the grants, I think it's really just, when I'll give an example. I work with one particular company that we kind of have some co-clients with, and they have a gentleman on staff who also has what they would have called Asperger's, and he's incredibly good at coding and those types of things, but less great at interacting with clients and doesn't like to do that. So in addition to the grants and resources, it's being accepting of that and saying, you know what, that's okay. We'll deal with the clients. You pump out the code. That's amazing. And you're so good at that. And so I think it's being open to that, where it's like, you know what, we maybe need to be able to be more accepting of that and say, it's okay to have that person and play to their strengths and not have them, client facing, and have a different person take over that. And just so you're kind of playing on people's strengths. Yeah.
Sort of having that flexibility and understanding and empathy to their needs, but also understanding that they bring, in that case, tremendous value. And obviously in a lot of cases, tremendous value, and they have potential to bring tremendous value to you and your organization, right?
For sure. And I will also say the other thing that you can look at, and I'm just a big advocate for supporting disabilities and those types of things too. And I don't have to go into greater detail, but it's really been a narrative in my life. I have a brother who's also special needs, and he grew up, and he has a bit of a different journey because he had cancer growing up, and he has brain damage. He still has my parents. He goes to a day program, and he would be more kind of severely disabled. And he goes to a day program for adults because he's now in his 30s. And they have a really interesting social enterprise organization where they shred paper for the community here in Brantford. So what's really cool is, as a business owner, we can take our files or take our paper, or even just, whatever, and make sure that we're supporting them. And so there's also, I've also seen different.
So that's run by the participants of the program. That's really cool.
And so there's also, for entrepreneurs too, depending on what your business concept is, there's all kinds of ways to arrange yourself as a social enterprise as well. I've seen many companies go that direction, and organizations we work with that have that social enterprise piece, which is really super cool.
That's interesting. Okay. I love how we're kind of going in different directions. So social enterprise, someone actually brought this up to me. I mean, the words make sense. I mean, they're two English words. And he started going off on how they were going to look at starting a social enterprise. I literally Googled it to see what the definition was. It kind of comes up with a Google definition. I don't know if there was a Wikipedia or just whatever. So in your opinion, how does that work? What is a social enterprise? So I from my understanding, for-profit, social enterprise, not for profit. So it's somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah. So it's you're making a profit, but I think there's also so you're not a straight up nonprofit, but there is an aspect of social support in it. So for example, my brother's example is definitely a social enterprise, but what they're not actually necessarily a true social enterprise, in the sense that they're not necessarily profiting anything that they make from the shredding paper. They're paying the participants of that day home for. However, if you were to sort of flip that model, and let's just stick with the paper model, if you were a paper company, as an example, that was maybe selling paper or selling paper products, and then you also built out a shredding service to help have that full scope. Yes, we sell paper, but we also want to recycle. And then you hired people with special needs to be able to shred the paper. Yes. You're just sort of doing so many good things. You're you're supporting people who may not otherwise get a paycheck because they may not be able to do a typical job.
Right.
You're also supporting, in that case, you're also supporting the environment. There's so many different things. So it's like including that into your business model. So it's more of a bit of an ecosystem. And then as an entrepreneur, what that allows you to do from a monetary perspective is you can then really accelerate getting grants and getting different things of that nature if you're set up as a social enterprise, because the government then looks at you as seeing that, yes, you're a business, but you're also helping.
Benefiting the greater good. So I think just, throwing this out, like it'd be nice that all businesses kind of became more leaning towards the social enterprise. I think that's almost where society would now benefit from all businesses. So that's an interesting concept. Is it relatively new? The concept of social enterprise. I mean, there's always been like social responsibility, right? But like this concept of social enterprise.
I think it definitely is a little bit newer and perhaps now more popular. And I think maybe also, it's a little bit generational in the sense that I think that perhaps the younger generations, we've maybe been taught in a certain way to perhaps be more socially aware, more socially conscious. Whether that's, one can argue that might be exposure to the internet or bigger, into, the news and things of that nature. But I think it's definitely more of a popular option now where people are actually thinking about it. Whereas perhaps just years ago, it wouldn't even cross people's mind.
Well, I think, we now know each other's age. So everyone does. We mentioned on air, our generation we're at the forefront. I think I'm just outside of millennial. You're probably just like, I think 81 they say is millennial, so I'm guessing you're either 81 or 80 somewhere. Yeah, so right, so I was 78. So I think our generation was like the first where we were the ones that reduce, reuse, recycle in school, right? Like I think before us, maybe 5, 8, 10 years before us, they didn't get any of that education. And then now that's obviously, we're now, I don't want to say this, we're the ones in power, because I'm not in power, but our generation is slowly starting to be the ones that are at the sort of that in the 40s. And then the millennials are all right behind us. So you've now got all the people in their 30s, the 20s have all had that. And as you said, the internet obviously, blew open the doors and gave everyone access to everything. We could have a whole other conversation about whether that's a good thing or not, but at least it did open up access to everyone, at least, or most people, so that the information could freely spread. So let's talk about you. We'll continue on. So your childhood. So your your brother. Your brother. Your brother. Was he born with a disability, or was it accident driven?
It was. I don't think so. So essentially, I come from I guess what would now be considered a bigger family. So there's 4 of us, and my brother was the youngest, and then I have 2 sisters. So he was born healthy. When he was 2, he got diagnosed with leukemia. And then, so we had a very interesting childhood because he really grew up in and out of the hospital, relapsing, et cetera, et cetera. So as a result of the cancer, being hospitalized during developmental years, radiation, chemo, which was less refined back then because it was in the 80s and 90s, he has, doesn't have what you could classify as one thing. He's just brain damage, special needs. So that was a really actually, bringing it back to kind of my journey, I feel like for me, it's really set me up for success and having a certain mindset and appreciation for health, and appreciation for life, and appreciation for being able to be a, someone who does have my full health and everything of that nature. And I've never really had the opportunity to take that for granted because my brother's still very much a very strong person in my life. And so that's been a really interesting lens as well. And it really lets you hone in on focus on really what truly is important and cut a lot of the crap out of your life and a lot of the crappy people that you actually don't really need to expose yourself to around, which has been a really nice lens. And then we were also very independent very quickly because my parents were at the hospital tending to my brother. So, just doing things like doing laundry at a very young age and cooking at a very young age was not, we had to do it. It wasn't an option. We had to help my parents. Of course we were going to. But that was really helpful, I think, for me too, in being able to be very self-reliant and have that confidence to, once I was out on my own or doing whatever on my own, just having that confidence to be able to do that perhaps at a younger age.
That's interesting, because it's sort of like two dynamics there. One is obviously giving you sort of the empathy, the perspective, to appreciate life. The other is, as a result of, obviously your brother, you were sort of, and your parents obviously having to potentially spend, a little more attention or care with them. You then were obviously given, a bit of freedom and sort of to mature and grow. I would assume you're still of the generation where sort of pre-video games, maybe get out there, play and do, and explore and enjoy the outdoors and fun with, friends and stuff like that. So it's interesting. So I don't know where, I don't know if we can go back to marketing. It seems like it would be such a different conversation. I'm just kind of like, what can we talk about in this realm? Because I think it's all about work life and understanding that perspectives. And obviously you are a working professional with, we'll obviously get into that, but, a long career in marketing, successful across, multiple sectors, Laurier grad, which, I went to Brock. I love mentioning on there just because I can say Brock. So I'll mention where you went, but both, I mean, I will say Brock is probably, it's a great school, but on the hierarchy, Laurier would probably be higher up, but it is what it is. So let me just, I'll probably think on air, what is it like as a working professional? Like, where do you see, I'll go this route. Where do you see, you have a 10 and 12-year-old, your daughter's the older, the 12-year-old, you say, okay. So where do you sort of see their path? And maybe do you see the similar path from your son and your perspective maybe, or, do you see like what's, it's tough to put on the prognosticator hat, but, if you could, COVID, let's say we all go back to a semblance of normalcy. Where do you see, your family and the dynamics going over the next couple of years? Like, what are you kind of hoping for?
I mean, I honestly, like, I hate to be vague. I mean, obviously, we really don't know, but
of course.
I think just like as a holistic comment, I think one of the things that like I've really tried to foster, because the world's changing incredibly rapidly. One of the things that I noticed, just even going back to, yes, I am a Laurier grad, and going back to those days, and I think we've already been open about how old we are, but when I graduated,
we don't have to keep bringing it up. My apologies, but happy birthday. Yeah, no. Yes.
Thank you. When I graduated years ago, I went to Laurier, and frankly, at that time in my life, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was lucky enough to have parents that said, go, and we just want you to go to university. Just like figure it out. We don't care what you take, just go. And I was fortunate enough to have that push. Also, my dad's a Laurier grad, so he was super proud that I was going there. So anyways, I ventured up and did that. I did a degree in sociology and anthropology. I did not want to be in either of those fields, but my parents, again, were really good at pushing me to get a degree. And I think at that age, and now it's even younger, because back when I was in school, they had OAC.
OACs, yeah, there you go. Were you, hold on, you must have been like right near the end of that though, because it ended in like 82, people born in maybe 82?
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you, but I definitely did.
Yeah, I had OACs as well. Yeah.
So, anywho, went and did that. And then I graduated with an arts degree and thought, kind of, what the fuck am I going to do now? Pardon my French.
No, it's fine.
I really liked, I always really liked, even though I didn't go to school for it, I always really enjoyed writing. Like, even from a really young age, you forget, but, my parents were cleaning out their house the other day, and my mom came across this whole bin, and, I was writing, little short stories that were really quite good in like grade 8. Like, so anyway.
You had a knack for it, or like
I had a passion and a knack for writing.
Yeah.
And I really was kind of drawn to communication. So I then went and did a post-grad at Sheridan College in Oakville. And we were the first class in their brand new what was called corporate communications. Humber had one before, and I was debating going to Humber, but I went to Sheridan because I had family that I could stay with there and an aunt and an uncle that I lived with. And I was able to do that for a year. And then what happened after that was they had a co-op portion to that program, which then spiraled me into my career because I got a really, really good co-op at Princess Margaret Hospital.
Okay.
And
I did see that you worked there early on. Yeah.
Yeah. And got to do that, which was really great. And that kind of spiraled me into everything else. So the whole, I guess, I'm really being long-winded about your point, but I think it's really hard to, when you have kids and they're younger, I really just, and it might sound altruistic, I really want my kids to be happy. Right. And I really truly don't care what they do. And honestly, even with my daughter, I'm really not sure with her if she's going to be able to kind of, with her disability, cope with a regular workday and those types of things. And if she wants to be serve coffee and that makes her happy, and whatever, fill her life up, that's fine. Right. I'm not, you kind of, being a special needs parent in particular, I think we have kids, we have certain expectations for them. There's lots of parents that are like, doctor, lawyer, engineer, right, whatever that looks like. Right. You do go through a grieving process as a special needs parent because you kind of resign yourself. I'm not saying that those things can't happen. I'm just saying they're less likely. And so you have to get over it. And you can grieve, which is a healthy thing to do. You get over what you thought you were going to have on that journey. Right. And you just kind of got to roll with it. And then with our son, who's typical and a fantastic, wonderful human, I just want to raise good humans, and I want
he better be a doctor. No, just kidding. That's
but
joking,
what's hilarious?
But yeah, I'm joking. That was a joke for everyone else watching.
I know. Oh, my husband is an engineer, right?
Okay,
so
right.
I also
engineered, or an entrepreneur.
Yes, whatever.
Yeah.
But the nice thing too with having my my agency, and also my kids are around a lot. I work from home. I'm very open. I work in an open space too, and I'm very open with my kids. And so the nice thing too is I think it's opened up particularly my son to like different possibilities that you don't necessarily have to be a doctor or an engineer or this or that. There's all these really cool jobs, which I actually get really excited about because I told him, I'm like, this did not exist when I was younger. Like he's really into, which I think a lot of kids that age are, content, right? Content creation and that type of thing. And he's pretty good at it.
How old is he? 10?
10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like what? So is he doing like YouTube stuff or like
more like
or TikTok kind of thing?
He does more like TikTok. He also keeps me like on the trends and ahead of the trends. So I use him for a little bit of resource. He also is, he was really keen on, he really likes music. We all really like music in this family. I always have something playing. And so he does DJing, and he has had a couple paid gigs at 10, which is great. We got a little kit, and he's good at it.
Does he have like the turntables?
Yes.
Wow.
And so he, and then he kind of makes content with that. So there's all these, like, I mean, you just couldn't do that when we were younger, right? So it kind of opens their eyes into.
I was telling my wife, like, we were joking. So you might be Cabbage Patch dolls. Like I was telling my kids about like there's always like a fad, like this year we were talking about pumpkin spice. That's how it came up. My 7-year-old was like, pumpkin spice, what's pumpkin spice? And then my wife bought like pumpkin spice Cheerios, and there's pumpkin. I'm like, I don't know. There's just always fads that kind of. And I was talking about Cabbage Patch, and there's always different. But as kids, we had none of that stuff, like what you're referring to. TikTok,
yeah. So I think even just like that's a very kind of a long-winded response. But I think what I find interesting again is just with raising kids is just ensuring that they're happy and they're good humans, and I'm raising good humans, but then on top of that, just like opening their eyes to like there's so many different things. The
perspective, right? And the options that, like you said, for someone our age, that was very limited. Like for me, I don't even know if they cared I went to university. I liked sports, so I chose phys ed, and I went to Brock because I was gonna maybe play lacrosse at Brock, right? It was sort of like what I was gonna do with it afterwards. Gym teacher seemed like a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
Right. And that I never did any of those things, but well, aside from the gym teacher, I didn't become a gym teacher, but yeah, so that guidance now where if you can open up their eyes, show them the different opportunities, right? I know we have our son writes like, so we have a company, Backers, obviously powered by Backers. He's like, I'm going to open up Bockers. And he's like drawing out like a business plan. He's
perfect.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, try it out. Let's have fun.
Great.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you can bring that like spirit to that, and like they get to see, like particularly my son, he's really keen on like, well, who are you working with? Who are your clients? So they get to see all these other clients that are doing all kinds of different things to kind of have their eyes open to that, where I think again, like they have a unique lens into that. And it's kind of a nice little, a nice little thing to be able to, open their eyes to.
That's really cool. So don't give your son's TikTok handle away, but where can people reach you guys? Like, where can people reach you? Obviously your website, I think I read it earlier there.
And then we're at Jessco, all of our socials. So like our Instagram is Jessco PR.
Okay.
And I think just at the moment, we're actually refreshing our website. So it should be actually ready very, very soon.
Okay.
We're just revamping it to be more reflective of our current team because we've grown quite quickly. And I want to make sure that we've got all our new lovely faces up on our website. But yeah, on Instagram, we're Jessco_PR. I also have a personal handle where I do, which is Jess Moran with a triple M. I do a lot of kind of personal advocacy on my social media and different industry things too, on top of the Jessco PR. So that's also another interesting one to follow. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you joining me on the show. Obviously, taking the time out of your day. I'm going to end it with one last question. I'll actually kind of got away from this. Go choose your own adventure again. So you can choose either or. I know we didn't talk about marketing. Maybe round 2, we'll get you back on here in a couple months.
We didn't even talk about biz.
We didn't even talk about PR or marketing. We didn't go to the other side, but you chose the.
I know,
think
it's true.
That was the better conversation, right? I mean, everyone can talk about marketing, and I think it's more hearing about the personal aspect and that people are going through, and experiencing the perspective and all the good that comes from all of that, right? So I think that's better. So choose your own adventure again. You can either choose one word that you would sort of give to, or as a piece of advice. So one word that you would say to a younger Jess. Do people call you Jess or Jessica? Jess. Okay, sorry. Okay, so Jess. So I got it right the last time there.
You can call me Jessica too. Okay. Most people go with Jess.
I guess as I'm looking at your business name, I'm like, but then I said, it's like, maybe I should have been called. Okay. Anyways, so a younger Jess, one word, what would you say to her? Or somebody starting out. I mean, it could be anybody, but arguably to you. Or the other side is you're standing on a cliff, you're about to fall off. Your final words to your loved ones, to the world, whoever.
Oh, I think the latter one is like too morbid. I can't even go there today because I don't want to cry, and like I've already done enough of that. Okay. So
I'll respect that. That's all good. All good.
It's a good one, but like maybe another like
time. Think about it for next time. Think about it for next time. There you go.
So I'll go with my younger self. And I don't know if I can like summarize this in like one tight thing, but I think now again, like just having a big kind of milestone.
No. You only got one word.
One word to say to my younger self.
One word. Yeah. I'm making it tough on you. Some people do give a sentence, 2 or 3 words, or like a quote or something. But yeah.
I think I won't do a quote. Okay, so I cannot summarize it in one word. But I think just as like a phrase, and it's nothing compelling, but something like, you can do it, or go for it.
Go for it. Jump.
Would be my advice to my younger self. And then, reasoning behind that, I think people don't maybe give them their own selves enough credit for kind of how awesome they are, particularly when they're younger, and there can be a lot of insecurities and things of that nature. And I think the beauty, as you know, of getting older is realizing like, hold on, like.
Well, Yeah, what was I so worried about, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like what was I so worried about? Or like, I'm just as smart as the rest of the people sitting in this boardroom.
Right.
You know, I'm just as capable, I'm just as qualified of running my own business. And I think, you know, my younger self would have had the tendency to be very over analytical and, you know, critical and those types of things. And I would say, you know, a majority of people or the entrepreneurs that I work with have the ability to sort of, I hate to say fake it till you make it, they definitely have expertise, but have the ability to kind of roll with that, have the confidence to be able to roll with that.
Right.
And that's what I wish my younger self knew a little more of.
Definitely. Just kind of go for it. But the couple of things, like I use the thing, you know, if they can do it, why can't I? Or so can I, kind of thing. And one of the things that I've been listening, I used to say that same thing, that fake it till you make it. But I've sort of looked at, you know, people talk about this imposter syndrome. So I think it's almost like it's like you have it, you may not feel like you have it, others may not feel like you have it, but it is there, and you're just kind of like, you got to keep pushing until people actually realize that you have it and you realize. So there's definitely a confidence aspect there, right? That I think definitely is gained with maturity or experience, or, you know, opening up perspectives, like you talked about, you know, your life experience. So yeah, awesome. So get started, just do it, something along those lines. Go jump, get in there. Yeah. Go for it.
Go for it. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Jess, I really appreciate you. We should do it again sometime soon.
Yes.
And everyone else here, this is One Take, powered by Backers. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you for having me.
Bye. See you, everyone. Bye. Hey there. Welcome to One Take, powered by Backers.
Right? No judging.
Yeah.
No judging.
The millennials are really changing that.
Is charm. No.
All success begins with desire.
I feel like I'm on fire right now.